My dears, hello! I'm happy to welcome you back to our cozy channel, where together we learn to live fully, calmly, and joyfully, especially now with so much experience behind us and time ahead for self-care. Today, we're going to talk about a very important topic, without which it's impossible to imagine good health and vigor. We're going to talk about nutrition, more precisely about vegetables. For a long time, it was believed that all vegetables were equally healthy. This, of course, sounded encouraging, but in reality, things are not so simple. As we age, our bodies change, and what we put on our plate begins to play an even more significant role. Some vegetables, as surprising as it may sound, can subtly harm us, raising blood sugar levels, causing joint discomfort, or affecting the heart. But there's another side, vegetables that become true helpers, supporting strength, improving metabolism, and simply giving the body more energy. In today's discussion, we will calmly and unhurriedly examine which four vegetables are especially beneficial for older people and which ones are better eaten in moderation or perhaps even reduced altogether. You might learn something new and useful for yourself. Before we begin, please write in the comments what city you are from. It's always nice to feel how the care for our health and the desire to live with warmth in our hearts unites us. Well then, let's begin, from the simple to the truly amazing. Let's talk about vegetables that truly nourish us from within and help us maintain health for a long time. 4 healing vegetables. Your body will thank you. Number 4. The humble but amazing red cabbage. My dears, how often do we pass by it in the market, not giving it much thought? But red cabbage is a true gift of nature, especially for us, those who have entered a mature, wise age. It's like a quiet but reliable guardian. It helps curb inflammation, which with age becomes the cause of many troubles: joint pain, fatigue, heart problems. Why is red cabbage so beneficial? Its rich purple color is not just a beautiful feature. It indicates a high content of special natural substances, anthocyanins. These are powerful helpers in the fight against aging. They, like careful cleaners, find harmful free radicals in our body and neutralize them. Thanks to this, cells remain healthy longer, and the aging process slows down. There is an interesting study published by American scientists. Older people who regularly ate vegetables rich in anthocyanins, and red cabbage is one of the leaders, had a 25% lower risk of cardiovascular diseases. Just think about it. Just by adding cabbage to their diet, their heart started working more reliably. But that's not all. Red cabbage is a real treasure for our intestines. It contains a lot of fiber and natural prebiotics, which support the health of the microflora. And a healthy gut at our age means strong immunity, a good mood, and better absorption of vitamins. If the stomach works like clockwork, the whole body feels different, more vigorous, lighter, calmer. To preserve all the benefits of cabbage, it is best to eat it raw. For example, in salads. Slice it thinly, add a little unrefined sunflower or olive oil, a little apple cider vinegar, and it will be tasty, healthy, and beneficial for the whole body. And if you still want to cook it, lightly, just a couple of minutes, sauté it in a pan. You can add garlic or a pinch of turmeric. It will be both aromatic and have an additional anti-inflammatory effect. And most important, this cabbage is available to everyone. It is inexpensive, stores well in the refrigerator, and yet can bring enormous benefits, especially if you notice joint pain, pressure spikes, or digestive problems. It's not for nothing that they say health is not always in medicines. Sometimes it is in the most ordinary cabbage. And believe me, your body will definitely thank you. Number 3. The underrated hero, okra, also known as lady's finger. Many of you probably won't immediately remember what okra is. In Russia, it is more often called bamia, and most often it is sold frozen in supermarkets or in stores with Oriental products. This green pod has a delicate, slightly viscous texture after cooking, which is why it often goes unnoticed. But believe me, especially for older people, okra is a real natural helper. Its main feature is its benefit for blood sugar levels. Okra contains a gel-like substance that acts as a natural filter in the body. It slows down the absorption of sugar into the blood, helping to avoid sharp spikes. This is especially important with age, when insulin sensitivity decreases. Sugar begins to linger in the blood, which can lead to strain on the heart, kidneys, and blood vessels. A 2021 study showed that older people who consumed okra daily for 2 months lowered their fasting blood sugar levels by more than 20%, without pills and without side effects, simply thanks to a vegetable. Okra also helps maintain mental clarity. It contains quercetin and other antioxidants that protect brain cells and help deal with the feeling of brain fog. Vitamin K, contained in okra, strengthens bones and supports normal blood clotting, and folic acid, folate, gives strength and participates in hematopoiesis, vital processes for energy and activity in old age. And now, a little practice. How to cook it. Frozen okra, without thawing, can be added to soup or stew. If you want to reduce its sliminess, pre-soak it in vinegar for 30 minutes. You can also fry or bake it, slice it, drizzle with oil, lightly salt, and send to the oven until lightly browned. Okra might not become your favorite vegetable at first, but if you give it a chance, you will definitely feel it working from within, supporting your body in balance, preserving strength and health. And, importantly, it is affordable, especially in frozen form. Number 2. The earthy miracle, beetroot. Beetroot is not just a splash of bright color on your plate. It is one of nature's most powerful tools for maintaining vascular and heart health. And after 60, this benefit becomes especially important. Over time, the inner walls of our arteries become less elastic, which hinders free blood flow, raises blood pressure, and creates additional strain on the heart. But beetroot contains natural nitrates, amazing compounds that are converted into nitric oxide in the body. This substance acts as a natural relaxant for blood vessels, helps them expand, improves blood circulation, and reduces overall pressure on the cardiovascular system. Just imagine, without medication, without side effects, simply thanks to beetroot. Improved circulation benefits not only the heart, but also the brain. Our brain needs a stable blood supply to maintain mental clarity, concentration, and decision-making ability. In other words, beetroot takes care not only of the heart, but also of preserving your precious mind. In addition, beetroot is rich in betalains, a group of natural antioxidants that actively fight inflammation at the cellular level. This is especially important if you experience joint pain, arthritis, or chronic inflammatory conditions. Beetroot also contains folic acid and manganese, 2 important micronutrients that support red blood cell production and ensure normal energy metabolism. This is a kind of gentle, natural stimulus, especially useful when energy levels can decrease with age. How to get the most out of beetroot? It's best to bake it in the oven until soft. This allows you to preserve both the taste and the nutrients. Baked beetroot becomes sweet, rich, and easily combines with other foods. You can also make refreshing smoothies from it by blending it with a small amount of apple and ginger. You'll get a drink that is both invigorating and healthy. Beetroot juice also works great. Just make sure it's real, without added sugar or other sweeteners. And if you don't want to bother with cooking, pay attention to ready-made boiled beetroot in vacuum packaging. You can simply slice it and add it to a salad or side dish. It's convenient, fast, and very healthy. Beetroot is truly a gift of the earth,
accessible to almost everyone. It's inexpensive, stores well, is easy to cook, and has enormous potential for supporting health in old age. If you have high blood pressure, vascular problems, memory decline, or chronic inflammation, perhaps beetroot will be one of those simple solutions that really work. Don't underestimate its power. It's humble, but quietly does real good for your body and mind. Number 1. The green power of nature. Kale, also known as leaf cabbage. Kale, or as it is more often called in Russia, leaf cabbage, is not just a trendy vegetable. It is a truly valuable gift of nature that can play a huge role in maintaining health after 60 years of age. It works on several levels at once, helping the heart, brain, and bones simultaneously. What makes kale so special? First of all, it is rich in lutein and zeaxanthin. These are natural pigments that act as a shield for your eyes and brain. After 60, age-related vision changes such as macular degeneration become more likely, and memory and thinking speed may gradually decrease. But kale helps slow down these processes. Imagine clearer memory, better attention, greater confidence and independence, all with the help of an ordinary vegetable. But that's not all. Kale is a reliable friend to your heart. It contains a lot of potassium, which helps the body cope with excess salt, lowering blood pressure. It's also rich in magnesium, a mineral that is especially important for older people, as it helps maintain a steady heart rhythm and reduces the risk of arrhythmias. And thanks to its incredibly high vitamin K content, more than 600% of the daily norm in just one serving, kale helps strengthen bones and prevent calcium deposition in the walls of blood vessels. This means less risk for the heart and joints. Kale also contains special substances, camphorol and glucosinolates, which have pronounced anti-inflammatory properties. They act deep within cells, suppressing chronic inflammation, that very invisible cause of many age-related diseases, diabetes, vascular problems, arthritis. However, there is an important clarification. You should not consume raw kale in large quantities, especially if you have thyroid problems. Raw leaves contain substances that can interfere with its function. But it's simple. Light heat treatment completely solves this problem. Just 3 to 5 minutes of sautéing in a pan with olive oil and garlic, and you will get soft, tasty leaves with maximum benefit and no risk. You can also steam kale, add it to vegetable soups, or make homemade crispy chips. Tear the leaves, grease them with a drop of oil, sprinkle with sea salt, and bake at a low temperature. It will be tasty and healthy. And, what is especially pleasant, kale is affordable, economical, and stores well in the refrigerator. It does not require complex cooking, and unlike many vitamin supplements, your body knows how to naturally absorb all its beneficial properties. When it comes to maintaining mental clarity, heart strength, and body strength, kale truly deserves the title of one of the most important vegetables for an elderly person. If you could make just one small change to your diet this week, let it be adding kale. This green force of nature can be a real gift for your health. Now that we've talked about truly beneficial vegetables, those that support the heart, preserve mental clarity, and strengthen the body, it's time to look at the other side. There are also vegetables that, despite their familiarity and harmless appearance, can subtly have a negative impact on the body over time, especially if consumed frequently and in excess. This is not about completely giving them up, but for those over 60, conscious eating becomes more important than ever. We will consider 4 vegetables that should be treated with caution, starting with the least problematic and ending with what can cause the most concern.
Number 4. Ubiquitous corn. Corn. At first glance, a simple and even familiar product. In the summer, we boil cobs at the dacha. In winter, we add canned corn to soups or salads. But this is precisely where its insidiousness lies. It's everywhere, which means we often don't notice how much of it we eat. especially if we believe that any vegetable is always beneficial. But in the case of corn, alas, this is not entirely true. The issue is not in the taste, fiber, or vitamins. The main problem is its effect on blood sugar levels. Corn is a food with a high glycemic index, meaning it can cause rapid sugar spikes, often even faster than white bread. When blood sugar rises sharply, the body rushes to produce insulin. But with age, cells become less sensitive to it, and this can subtly lead us to prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. A study published in 2020 in the journal Diabetes Care showed that older adults who regularly consumed high glycemic index vegetables, such as corn, had a 46% higher risk of developing insulin resistance and heart problems. This is a serious reason to think. Moreover, unlike slow, complex carbohydrates found, for example, in legumes, buckwheat, or barley, corn gives a short-term burst of energy, after which fatigue, loss of strength, and even slight dizziness may occur. This roller coaster effect creates an unnecessary burden on the heart and hormonal system, especially in elderly people. This does not mean that corn should be permanently excluded from your life. Sometimes you can indulge yourself, especially if it's fresh, boiled corn on the cob in season. The main thing is to control portions and not turn corn into a regular part of your diet. It's even wiser to replace it with healthier alternatives, such as cauliflower, zucchini, or green beans. These vegetables stabilize blood sugar levels and provide more sustained energy without sharp fluctuations. Special caution should be exercised with so-called sweet corn, canned products with added sugar or cream. Such products not only lose some of their benefits, but also acquire additional risks for blood sugar and weight. Remember, the sweeter the taste, the higher the probability that you have a commercially bred variety with increased sugar content. Corn, of course, is not an enemy, but for elderly people, it can become an imperceptible source of problems, from weight gain to unstable pressure and worsening sugar control. If you notice that you eat it too often, now is the time to make a small but important change in your diet. Your heart and pancreas will thank you. Number 3. Familiar but insidious. Potatoes. Potatoes are one of the most common and beloved foods on our table. They are part of many homemade dishes: mashed potatoes, roasts, soups, casseroles. They are filling, affordable, and familiar from childhood. But this is precisely where its insidiousness lies. For older people, potatoes can become a real health trap. The main problem is the high starch content and very high glycemic index. This means that after a serving of potatoes, blood sugar levels rise sharply, followed by a sharp release of insulin. And, as often happens, a rise is followed by a fall. After some time, you may feel tired, drowsy, and low on energy. These swings, sugar up, then down, gradually strain the pancreas, reduce the sensitivity of cells to insulin, and contribute to fat accumulation around internal organs. All of this is especially dangerous with age. As for protective compounds, antioxidants, and fiber, potatoes are poorer in them, especially if you don't eat them with the skin, and most people peel the skin. But even this is not the most important thing. Most often, potatoes are cooked in a way that worsens their properties: fried, mashed with butter and salt, served with sauces or cheese. As a result, a modest vegetable turns into a product harmful to blood vessels and the heart. Fried potatoes are especially dangerous. Frying at high temperatures form acrylamides, substances that can cause inflammation of the vascular walls. And if you add salt, cheese, or sausage, the load on the kidneys and blood vessels increases sharply. Even simply boiled potatoes are quickly broken down in the body, causing a sugar spike. This is not the best option for those who already face increased weight, lethargy, or metabolic disorders. Many elderly people who frequently eat potatoes notice a drop in energy after meals, and this is no coincidence. A high carbohydrate load causes overstraining of the body's energy systems, and if this happens regularly, over time it can lead to insulin resistance, nervous system malfunctions,
and even the development of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. But this does not mean that potatoes should be excluded from your life. If you truly love this vegetable, do not give it up completely, but treat it as a special dish, not a daily habit. As a substitute, try sweet potatoes. They have a lower glycemic index, more fiber, and antioxidants. You can bake them in the oven with a drop of olive oil, sprinkle with a pinch of cinnamon, and it will be both tasty and healthy. If you eat regular potatoes, it is better to bake them or boil them without oil, salt, or cream. But fried or highly processed potatoes are not the best choice, especially after 60 years of age. Potatoes, of course, are cheap and accessible. They are familiar and loved. But, unfortunately, they can subtly exacerbate the conditions that older people try so hard to protect themselves from: unstable sugar, blood pressure, inflammation. After 60, every portion matters, and with potatoes, these risks can, alas, outweigh the comfort. Before we continue our discussion about the two remaining vegetables, if you found this material useful, please give it a like. This helps our channel grow. And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe and click the bell to not miss the next episodes. We talk here about the most important thing: your health, comfort, and longevity.
Number 2. Eggplant, not as harmless as it seems. Eggplant is often praised for its low-calorie content and attractive appearance. Its purple skin adds vibrancy to dishes, and a slight bitterness adds character. But surprisingly, for the aging body, eggplant can hide certain risks, especially if consumed frequently or in large quantities. The main concern is a group of natural substances called alkaloids. These compounds are part of the plant's natural defense against pests. However, in the human body, especially in older people, alkaloids can cause an inflammatory reaction. In particular, this applies to joints, muscles, and also the digestive system. A 2021 study showed that substances contained in eggplant, such as solonin and nasunin, can increase oxidative stress and interfere with nerve impulse transmission, and this is a serious reason to think. If you already have arthritis, joint pain, muscle weakness, or body sensitivity, frequent consumption of eggplant can exacerbate these symptoms. Many older people have noted that after fried eggplant or grilled dishes, they experienced unpleasant sensations, heaviness in the body, increased joint pain, or general fatigue. Unfortunately, the body after 60 years of age can become more susceptible to such reactions. There is another side. Eggplant, like a sponge, absorbs oil, especially when frying. And the combination of oil, high temperature, and those very alkaloids creates an inflammatory environment in the body. This can, over time, affect blood vessels, raise blood pressure, and worsen well-being, even if it's not immediately noticeable externally. An additional problem is oxalates, which are also found in eggplant. These substances can contribute to the formation of kidney stones, especially in people with reduced kidney function, and after 60, the kidneys naturally work a little less efficiently, and this should be taken into account. It also happens that the process of digesting eggplant itself causes discomfort, especially if it is undercooked or served with the skin. For some people, this leads to bloating, gas, heaviness, especially if they have gastritis, GERD, or a sensitive stomach. This does not mean that eggplant is forbidden. If you love it, you can enjoy it from time to time, but keeping in mind a few simple rules. First, remove the skin. It contains the largest amount of alkaloids. Second, soak the slices in salt water for 15 to 30 minutes. This will help remove excess bitterness and reduce the amount of problematic compounds. Third, bake or stew, avoiding frying in a large amount of oil. But even with these precautions, older people with arthritis, kidney problems, or sensitive digestion should be careful with eggplant. There are many other vegetables that only benefit the body without unnecessary risks. Cauliflower, pumpkin, zucchini, broccoli, all of these are safer and more nutritious alternatives. Eggplant looks beautiful on a plate, but after 60, when the body requires special attention, it is important to remember, not everything that is familiar is healthy. And after a dish with eggplant you notice fatigue, heaviness, joint pain, perhaps it is worth temporarily excluding it from your diet and seeing how your body reacts. If you find this information useful, please support our channel. Give it a like. This helps us share knowledge with those who particularly need it. And to not miss the next episodes, subscribe and click the bell. We talk here about the most important thing, your health, well-being, and longevity. Number 1. The daily surprise, canned tomatoes. Tomatoes are one of the most beloved and frequently consumed vegetables. Most of us eat them fresh, in salads, sliced, with herbs and oil. They seem like a natural, healthy choice. But besides fresh, canned tomatoes are also very often used in everyday cooking, especially in winter, when fresh ones aren't as aromatic or simply for convenience. They are added to stews, soups, gravies, casseroles. It's easy, fast, and, as many believe, harmless. However, here it is important to make one important clarification. We are not talking about homemade preparations that many of you make yourselves in glass jars with familiar ingredients and without unnecessary chemicals. No, we are talking specifically about store-bought canned tomatoes, which are sold in tin cans and undergo industrial processing. This is where the main problem lies. Despite the fact that they look and taste similar to ordinary tomatoes, their effect on the body can be completely different, especially if consumed regularly or in large quantities. The tomatoes themselves are not the problem. The problem is what happens to them after canning. This is especially important to consider for older people, for whom the condition of blood vessels, hormonal balance, and kidney function are particularly vulnerable. Most canned foods are stored in metal cans, and the inner surface of such cans is often coated with BPA or BPA, a chemical that prevents rust and extends shelf life. But in the human body, especially with age, BPA can interfere with hormone function, causing pressure fluctuations, fatigue, sleep disturbances, weight gain, and hormonal imbalances. Why are tomatoes in cans more dangerous than other canned foods? It's all about their acidity. Tomatoes literally corrode the inner coating of the can, accelerating the transfer of BPA into the product itself, and all of this gets directly into your dish.
But that's not all. Many brands of canned tomatoes contain large amounts of salt, up to 500 milligrams of sodium per cup. This is almost a quarter of the daily norm. And if you use such tomatoes in pastes, casseroles, sauces, the sodium level can easily exceed the safe limit. And this means increased blood pressure, strain on the kidneys and blood vessels, especially if you are already taking medication for hypertension. And finally, with age, the liver and kidneys become less effective at eliminating toxins, making older people even more vulnerable to chemical compounds like BPA and excess salt. What to do? There is a simple and safe solution. Use fresh tomatoes. Bake them with garlic and olive oil. Blend them. It will be both tasty and healthy. If you use store-bought canned goods, choose products in glass containers or with a BPA-free label. Be sure to rinse canned tomatoes with water to at least reduce the salt content. Canned tomatoes seem harmless, but in reality, they can be a source of an imperceptible, cumulative load on your body. Giving them up, or at least taking a reasonable approach, is one of the simplest but most important steps towards health. My dear friends, after 60, every product on our plate really matters. It either supports us, helping the heart, mind, body, or, quite imperceptibly, day by day, takes away strength, disrupts hormone function, raises blood pressure or sugar levels, and we sometimes don't even notice it until it's too late. Now you know more. Not all vegetables are equally beneficial for the aging body. Some are our silent allies. They fight inflammation, maintain mental clarity, strengthen blood vessels, and gently help hormonal balance stay in equilibrium. Others, though seemingly harmless, can slowly undermine health, increasing the load on the kidneys, provoking blood sugar spikes, or interfering with digestion. But now, with this information, you are no longer just eating, you are choosing consciously. You can confidently rely on knowledge, not habits or guesswork. You can take care of yourself as you truly deserve, gently, wisely, and with respect for your body. And now, I would really like to know which of today's discoveries surprised you the most. Please write in the comments. Your feedback is important. It inspires others and makes our circle of communication warm and lively. If you want to continue receiving clear, calm, science-based advice in order to live a full life after 60 and after 70 and beyond,
Subscribe to the channel right now. Let this be your small but important decision towards health. If you have questions or want to share your personal experience, write. Don't be shy. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for your attention, for your kindness and participation. You are a valuable part of our friendly community. See you soon. Take care of yourself and be healthy.